Okay, really cool news if you're attending Evolve. And even if you're not attending Evolve, you can take advantage of this. I am so excited. One of our sponsors for Evolve, Wizard of Ads, is giving away a free website health checkup audit. Now, this is something if you're going to Evolve, you're going to want to go to the table. You can get your audit right there, or they can send it to you later. But get your audit if you're coming to Evolve. Now, if you're not coming to Evolve, you can go to wizardofadsonline.com to learn more, and you can message Vi. Vi Wickham is my friend, one of the co-owners of Wizard of Ads, and he can tell you more about this offer. But here's a little breakdown. You're getting domain ranking and backlink history, keyword performance for Google searches by position your site ranks and volume clicks, site health based on crawled pages and the errors Google detects, site performance, the speed and other issues that Google takes into account for your ranking, and a site visual review, a brief about any issues that they notice at a quick glance on the website. If you wanted an expert to look at your website, this is the thing for you. So take advantage of this while you're at Evolve. I want to give a big thank you to the Wizard of Ads for sponsoring and offering this epic deal. It's valued at $1,000, yours free for Evolve attendees. If you're still wanting to go to Evolve, but you haven't gotten your ticket yet, then be sure to get your ticket. We want to see you there, and go visit the Wizard of Ads. If you want to make money in your sleep, then this episode is for you. My guest, Miranda Heslip, co-owner of Cloud Nine Pajamas, is pulling back the curtain and sharing how her and her sisters are making money in their sleep with their e-com store, how they're leveraging social media, email marketing to drive traffic and sales, how they're working with the data and understanding more about their inventory and connecting it with their marketing campaigns and their social and their email, how they're hiring people to support them that are really good. There's some really great hiring tips in this episode. I mean, the bulk of today's episode is really focusing on marketing your store, growing your business, and you need team to support you in that too. So Miranda gives so much helpful information that honestly, I feel like could completely change the trajectory of your store. And there's a lot of options for you and a lot of things for you to take from this episode. I'm so excited for you to tune in. Before we dive in, here's a little bit more about my guest. Miranda, a dedicated business owner of Cloud Nine Pajamas, has co-owned the establishment for over 15 years with her family. With 3 successful brick and mortar locations and a thriving online store, Miranda is kept busy and is in charge of all the marketing within the business. In November, Miranda welcomed her first child, Harper, into the world and now gives herself grace as she navigates the balancing act of being a devoted mother and a driven business owner. I've known Miranda for a long time and her family. They're an incredible family. We love them. I'm so excited for you to learn from Miranda. Let's dive in. Welcome to Rooted in Retail. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis. Here, we have engaging and informative conversations with successful indie retailers and industry experts. Together, we learn, connect, and grow. Don't miss our live after the show every Tuesday night in the Rooted in Retail Facebook group. All right, here's today's episode. Miranda, welcome to Rooted in Retail. I'm thrilled you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. I was talking to Pauline, my COO, about this interview, and we're like, gosh, how long have we known Miranda and Cloud Nine Pajamas? I think a decade. We have, yeah, it's crazy. And so we've worked together for a while. I've seen you evolve, and you guys are doing some really cool stuff at your store. I can't wait to talk about it today. I know that our retailers are going to get a lot of value out of this. So before we dive in, you're pretty rooted in retail. Will you share a little bit about you and your store's Cloud Nine Pajamas?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it has been a long time that I've known you guys. We love you guys. So we have Cloud Nine Pajamas. It's a family run business. Me and my sisters run it. We started when we were quite young. So again, I feel like we were babies when we even met you and we're learning stuff, and we've learned so much along the way. We specialize in moisture wicking sleepwear that keeps you cool if you're going through menopause, hot flashes, cancer treatments, all of those tough things. We just want to make the quality of life during those time periods better. And then we also have just amazing pajamas on top of that that aren't moisture wicking if you guys just like normal, comfy, cozy, luxury pajamas. And we have 3 brick and mortar locations and an online store that is absolutely thriving. I'm excited to talk with you about that today. Again, a little bit newer for us in the past couple of years because we really did focus on our brick and mortar, and we still do, but we just have had really great growth online. So excited about that. And yeah, we've been through so much. I'm excited to dig in with you and share my experiences, I guess.
Yes, exactly. I can't wait to hear what's been going on. This is going to be so good. So let's dive in and talk about platforms and content on social media. I want to know what's creating meaningful interactions and meaningful results. What kind of content, where, what platforms are you seeing? What's been working?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, again, one of 3 sisters that run the business, and I do all of our marketing and advertising and have for years. We've been around for 15 years. So for years and years, I always have. It's definitely evolved. And we've really noticed those relationships that we built along the way have stuck. So it's really important. It takes time, it takes work, right? It takes energy, but those have stuck. And one example that kind of was really like an aha moment for me is we really take the time to build our relationships with our customers. But back in November, I had my daughter, my first child, and my customers were giving me gifts. And to me, I
Oh,
was like, I was astonished. I was not expecting anything like that, but they really have seen us grow up. They've been with us along the journey. They love her, right? So it's really creating those relationships. And for us, the biggest one that we've used over the past decade is Instagram and Facebook to create those relationships. We use other marketing tools, like we do a ton of email, but I don't necessarily find we build the relationship in email. It's more so informative and selling. But Instagram really is just mostly, to be honest, compared to Facebook, is really where we dig in and have those conversations, reply to people, ask how their day's going, comment on their stuff. So we follow them back and comment and just really build that relationship that we would normally build in store. But you have that capacity to be able to do that through Instagram. So it's been wonderful for us.
it's so good. And I think that there's a lot of things we can take away from that because sometimes we feel like, okay, I'm on social media and I've been posting, but nobody's really engaging and I'm not seeing many results. And you mentioned you've been doing this for 15 years. Like you've been, and you guys have been active, like you're consistent, you show up, and you just said you're commenting back, you're asking them how they are. It is a conversation. And I think that as marketers and brands, sometimes we get caught up in the promotion aspect, like buy. And that's just not going to build the relationship. And when we're talking about meaningful interactions, it really is that humanized content. Miranda, a lot of our retailers feel fear of putting pictures of themselves out there and videos of themselves out there. And all these years, you ladies have done a really good job of humanizing your brand. Do you have any advice for a retailer who's maybe listening right now who's like, I'm just really afraid to do video, to do photo? What would you tell them?
Yeah, you know what? We have experienced it even within our own team because I have done it for so long, but I've also wanted to get our team involved and have them showing stuff and creating those relationships through Instagram. And it really is just start. Just get
Yeah.
on the camera. And again, if you want, it depends on what type of person you are. Sometimes, like I can read my staff a little bit. I'm like, we're just going to do it and then it's going to be alive, or we're just going to do it. And then other people need to be able to rewatch it and maybe make some changes. And it really just is whatever works for each person, but just start. And the second you push post and get it out there, it's maybe scary for an hour and then you're going to get great feedback. It's not going to be scary. People are going to love seeing you on there 100% because that really is people want to buy from people that they like and trust. So it really is them seeing you humanizes the brand and makes you seem like a real person, which you are.
Yep, exactly. And you're so right. It's scary for that first hour or so. And then the more people do it and do it and do it, it just you get more comfortable. And you're so right too. People are gonna comment. They love seeing you. They're gonna be so excited about. So you just gotta start. You gotta do it.
And I
Now,
love actually like messing up on camera. I actually like that more because it makes me seem more human because I have gotten decently good at it over the years that I can, whatever needs to be said, I can say it. And it can sometimes come off like, oh, she knows like that she has a spiel or whatever. So when I mix up or whatever, I like adding in that little bit of, I'm not perfect. This is actually me
mhm,
talking to you. I'm not going to, just because I made that little slip up, I'm not going to start all over and that type of thing. So it
yeah.
really does kind of, again, humanize the brand to just show yourself and
It
all your authentic self.
Yes, it's so true. I say this so many times, but a Broadway playwright once said, how you write a character to be somebody that people hate is you write them to be perfect. We don't like perfect. We don't resonate with it. So it's okay if you mess up. People actually prefer that. Okay, so going back, so Instagram's your main platform and you're really networking there. And do you just feel more comfortable with Instagram, or have you really tried a lot on Facebook? Have you tried TikTok, but you just saw the most success on Instagram?
We do Facebook has been our number one sorry, not number one, the first thing that we've worked with for years back when we started with you guys. Like, Facebook is tried and true for us, and our demographic speaks a little bit more to Facebook, so it works well that way. They are slowly transitioning over to Instagram. Facebook works amazing for us as well. I don't find we have as many conversations
Mm,
in, like, direct messages there, so relationship building, it's not as but I would say people are more likely for us to create a relationship through direct message and really getting into a conversation on Instagram, but they're
mm,
more likely to comment on our stuff on Facebook. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they feel more comfortable. It's different age groups, I think, too, a little bit that feel more comfortable commenting but they don't really keep a conversation going with it in the
right,
comments, if that makes sense. But
totally.
love Facebook. We just have different um, I guess benefits to each platform, right? So Facebook works wonders for us. We do a lot of Facebook ad advertising as well, Instagram as well too. And but Instagram, I find it's easier to get on there and just I'm a quick start. I don't know if
Mhm.
Colby testing. So that's something that we do. We really like to work with our strengths. And I'm a quick start. So I like to hop on there and just talk. So once Facebook got those story features as well, we excelled in that aspect because it's just grab and go type of content. So yeah,
Right.
that works. And then TikTok, it's a slow build for us. We just started in the past year doing some TikTok stuff. And it definitely is it takes it's a different kind of content. So right now what we're trying to
Mhm.
do is because 'cause we're so busy, we're trying to repurpose our content. So we take what we make for Instagram and Facebook and we put it on TikTok. What we should be doing is creating more documentation style content for TikTok and it being us owners. So it is I think if we kind of slate out that time and do that, we'll have some more success there. So it's definitely on our to-do list. And you kind of mentioned before that it takes time. And as businesses evolve, like we focused so heavily on social media marketing and then we grew. And so then we still focused on social media marketing, but we didn't take the time to reply to customers. And we definitely noticed if you think you get to a point where you're like, I'm busy, like we have them type of thing. No, you definitely notice it. And really nurturing those customers is important.
Yep, it's a great point. Sometimes we build it and we're so focused, we see the growth and then we get caught up into the next thing like, "Oh, I don't have to manage that." But it is an ongoing thing. Like you do have to be posting consistently. That is where there's some benefits in like Pinterest, let's say, because the content will live on for about 4 months. The average pin will live on for about 4 months. But with Instagram and Facebook, it's daily. So you have to stay on top of it. I think you're right with TikTok if you did some more of the documenting behind the scenes. And I also was on a call with TikTok a couple weeks ago and they were just saying talking straight to the camera is working so well. And so if you were talking about these challenging challenges that women have and how your moisture wicking pajamas fit, and you're just talking, and sure, you can showcase some of them, right? But I do think there's a lot of benefit there. But the point here is I think listeners are understanding this. You know your customers, you know where they're spending time, you know how to connect with them, what's working, and you're committed and you're consistent. I want to know what is the number one thing right now? We're filming this in March of 2024. What's the number one thing working with your marketing right now?
There's so much, which is a very
Yeah.
exciting time, I guess.
Right.
But number one, I would say that we've started to refocus on because I do think that it's always changing. So I don't want to say we have it down good, but we are pretty consistent with our social media marketing, Instagram, Facebook, and then we're reposting that to TikTok. And so we're really digging into email marketing now. We're seeing great revenue from it. We're doing more segmented marketing, so really niching down to each customer, using data to solidify who we're sending it to, that they're actually wanting to open that email. They're not just getting our newsletter to the whole database. We've really focused on that in the past couple of years and then really niched down into the segmented marketing and are seeing great success with that. So I think
Mhm.
that's the thing that's most exciting to me, that there's the most opportunity right now that is working really well for us.
Okay, let's go a little deeper there with email because I actually have a question for you in regards to that. What strategies do you employ to ensure your email campaigns are targeted effectively? And could you share an insight into how you segment your audiences to maximize engagement and sales?
For sure. So we work with Management One. I'm not sure if everyone on your guys' side is familiar with Management One, but we love them. So much data from them. So we actually have weekly meetings about the data that we get from them, and it allows us to really put a game plan together of who we want to market to, what do we need gone, where do we want to focus, what's doing well. So it's always that teeter totter I find of we really want to focus on what's doing well, but we also want to have we given the love and nurturing to the products that aren't. Maybe that's
Mm.
why they're not doing well. So it's really that balancing of that. So we look at data to really drive all of our decision making, and we're very um, kind of strict on that. We want to not strict, but really, it's really important to us that we're using data to make decisions. So then we go into our POS system and we drill down, say it's this particular brand that we need 10K gone in or something like that. We then drill down, we create a list of customers who, and it really depends on what your goal is. Maybe it's they haven't bought the new collection. So it's people that bought within the last year, but haven't bought in 3 months. So we exclude the last 3 months. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's we want to exclude people that have bought in the past year and only include people that have recently purchased. It really becomes whatever your goal is of the email. And then we create that list, upload it. We use Klaviyo, so that works well for us. And then create a specific email to them. And it can go and really depends on who's listening and what kind of business they have. We've started in the past 5 years manufacturing our own goods. So we have good stock in our own goods. So there's sometimes where we're sitting on all that overstock of our own brand that I'm like, I have so many extra large. Well, I'm going to drill down and just do customers that are extra large and I'm going to send them this promotion. And that's how we get rid of that inventory. So you can really do it, or you could do, we can do people that like pink. We have a lot of pink stuff, right? You can really drill down and do whatever you want. And then again, you can send as many emails as you want. If you're segmenting, you're not, and using the features that your email platform has to not double send and send too many, you can really cater and get great sales from making sure that they want to open their email. Dan from Management One said to me one time, he's like, why am I getting emails about bras? I don't even wear bras. Why am I getting emails about bras? That should be segmented down. And so different things like that, right? That I'm like, oh yeah, that gets me thinking, right? Why am I sending that to you when it doesn't hurt to send, I guess, right? Is the thing. Like I was always like, oh, whatever. But I could be sending you something so much more niche to you
Mhm.
and use that opportunity. So really segmenting down and then using the flows that we've created over the years. So I say it's like making money in your sleep, right? Creating
Mhm.
flows. It takes time to set them up. But then if you can get a great flow going, and Klaviyo has some good resources on some different flows, you just make money in your sleep and it works really well. So email marketing for us is a huge one.
I love it. Selling is service, and the better that you are with your sales process and knowing as much information about your customer as possible, you are going to provide amazing service and you're going to sell a lot more because you're targeted. So, anybody that, if you're not doing email, that is an action item. Like start collecting email addresses ASAP. Miranda, do you know, and you don't necessarily have to share this, but you don't have to share the specific percentage if you don't want to of sales that are driven by email, but how important is email to your bottom line?
It is massive. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I'm not a numbers person. I have to write them down and have them in my head, and maybe it's my baby brain too. But it's a huge portion of our sales, and we've really noticed that it drives our online sales. So
Mhm.
we know it drives in store sales, but you can't necessarily track that as easily. Whereas we can directly see the correlation, and so that tells me it's working for in store as well. And like you just seen the revenue come in from it. Our thing is we don't have the best, I forget what it's called, but there's a selling thing on Facebook where people sell live,
Oh, like comment sold or
comment sold. So we don't have great things like that in, Canada, at least where I am in Edmonton. And I was hearing business owners say, "Oh, if I need some money, I just go on and I do comment sold and I make money." And I was like, "I need something that when we're in a pinch, what do we do?" And we started focusing and actually putting the time in to niche down our emails. And that's where I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's make an email." It is just money in the bank when we make them and send them. So I think it's not the shiny new thing that everyone wants to necessarily be doing. I
Right.
think people think too that maybe emails are old school. It's not. It works.
Hmm.
And you're the only that's the only list that you own. So we always are trying to convert people over to our email list, and we have high success with it. So yeah, I wish I had those numbers for you. Sorry, but we are happy to share always. I just don't know them
Yeah.
off the top of my head.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's critical to the success.
Yeah.
And I love your point. If I need to make some money or we need to move some things, like I'm able to push some buttons and to make that happen. Now, for what POS do you use?
So we use Heartland and then Shopify for online.
Okay, awesome. And for the retailer who's maybe new to email and segmenting, I just want to break this down real quick. For segmenting, you can have all sorts of information on the people that shop with you. And in your email service provider, so Miranda, you use Klaviyo, and I've heard that's a great platform, especially if you have a Shopify e-com website. So you can have a lot more data on your list about the brands they love, gender, location, and the more information, the better. So you can segment out those lists and send to them. Miranda, how are you collecting, like from a back end? If somebody is in your store, is this purely just based off of POS data? We know that they buy a lot of pink things. Like you mentioned, I could send an email to people that, like pink. How are you collecting the data?
The reason that we chose Heartland is because of the reports that it can run, and you can drill down so niche. But it also depends on how you're inputting your data, right? So if the products that you put in, you are wanting to include a color code and you're wanting to include that information, some of the work is a little bit
Mm,
upfront when you're putting in your orders that we are able to drill down and get all of this information. But it's been a blessing for us to be able to use it. It's if you use it, right? So you can have
right.
this robust system that does all of this stuff. If you don't use it, it doesn't make sense to be paying for it. So it's just using the data that you're able to get from your POS system for sure.
Yeah. And if anybody is sitting here thinking, oh, but that feels like a lot of work, I just want to encourage anybody who feels that way because, yes, it could be a lot of work, especially depending on what kind of POS you're on right now. Does it require moving? I know that there's so many struggles when it comes to POS and getting that data and having access, but it can take the work up front. Like that could be an initiative for the next 3 months and really focusing on getting the right POS system for my needs, collecting the data. Ideally, you're working with somebody like Management One where you're pulling that information and then logging in and then able to pull those lists and deploy communication quick because it will speed you up long term. And again, it's making money in your sleep. What listener doesn't want that? We all want that.
It's so
Oh,
true. And it's
yeah.
it again where you for me, when I was doing all of it, I now have someone when I did like I call it my mini mat leave. We hired someone to help me do mostly content. And then she's transformed into doing some other stuff, which is amazing. I've never had help before. It's always been me. It depends on where you're spending your energy. So for me, creating content took a lot of my energy, but I knew that it was important for my face to be on there. So doing the work up front and then having it work in the background and be able to focus on other things was so important. So it really is where you're helping your future self
Yep.
by doing those things.
So true. I love it. Okay. Where do you think retailers are missing the mark when it comes to their marketing?
You know what? I think that people get in their head a lot. So it goes back to that documenting style. I think
Mhm.
that having everything be super shiny and look great is beautiful, and maybe that looks really great on your feed, but making sure that you're authentic and showing yourself, showing your team, just really making yourself a human to these people that are following you on this robotic cell phone, right? Making sure
Right.
that they can see that it's a human. I think that's the biggest thing because I have seen people with small followings have huge success with sales, at least where we're from, just because they're more personable on there. You don't have to have the biggest following. It's just what you do with the following that you have. And I think being personal and really showing yourself really helps that. I kind of preach that from the mountaintops, and I'll probably say that a few times throughout this podcast, but it's worked wonders for us and it's really important.
I totally agree. When I think about what I've bought, like I scroll, I buy, I more of my purchases come from TikTok, clothing, makeup, some unique gift things, and what I am purchasing, it's always a person that I have been seeing in my feed a few times, and I'm like, okay, I'll click over and learn a little bit more, or just when they all of a sudden have the right thing that I'm looking for, this awesome bundle, and I'm like, okay, you got me but it's always been a person. And so keep that in mind too, anyone listening. We will buy from people we know, we like, we trust, or brands, right? The brand name, I feel like I have a lot of trust and security in that. And so another reason why we just got to put ourselves out there.
That's exactly. I agree.
Okay, so Miranda, you mentioned e-com is crushing it. And a lot of our retailers have an e-commerce website. Not all, but I think a lot of them have it now, especially after COVID. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're marketing it and driving traffic there and seeing sales. So, can you walk us through a little bit around how you're actually seeing traffic and sales through your e-com site?
Yeah, for sure. So we kind of have the same story that you were just mentioning of we had an online store. We definitely had one before, so we were lucky we didn't have to create one through COVID, but it was our neglected child. If we got new product in, sometimes it would be like a month before I'd get it up on the site because again, I was doing everything and to me, I was spread so thin, I couldn't do it all and it was like we're not really doing much there, like I'm going to leave it. And the second that we started focusing on it, COVID really helped drive traffic to our site, and then we learned so much through that time. So we were able to build a better website, learn where traffic's coming from was a big one for us. So looking at your analytics and seeing where it's coming from, and then really just focus on getting product up on the site. It doesn't always have to be perfect. I know that kills me a little bit
Yeah.
sometimes because your site is an extension of your in-store. It's an extension of you. So you want to make sure that it's giving firstly, to me, good customer service is important, but also that it's not looking like something that's going to be a scam, right? You want it to be professional enough, but personal enough. To me personally is kind of my opinion on that. And so I was really worried about it. And it was the same thing as those people that are worried about getting and showing your face on camera. You just have to step up. You just have to do it and you learn along the way. And we got better at it quite quickly because of the necessity through COVID.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, we did really well with it then. This past May, we decided to hire someone full time for it because, again, it was me doing most of it. My sister was helping a little bit with that. And then she had all her other stuff. So it was really, we were putting effort there, but it was still being neglected. And the
Mhm.
second that we had someone dedicated who had skills, so we did look for someone who is in house with us. We absolutely love her. She's amazing. We looked for someone that had the skills. We always say hire smarter than you, right? So I like to know what we're doing. I always say Facebook ads or anything. If I don't know what you're doing, I don't necessarily see the value in it. If I have my feet in slightly and kind of know, okay, no, that's hard. I've seen that. I can't do that. I get why I'm paying you, right? So to me, I like having a little bit of information. So doing a little mini course or something to know, and then seeing all the skills that she has. She has grown this business on our online site 50% in the past year. It's been absolutely amazing. It's soon going to grow past some of our stores that we have, and we've had those for years. It's been unreal. And again, having that dedicated person. So, and we are learning that now with our content, is I have that wonderful lady that I hired back in November when I had my baby, having that dedicated person. I can still get on there and be personable and do the things that I can only do as a business owner, but I don't have that pressure and that weight of what content's going out each day, who's filming it,
Right.
who's in it. She's in charge of all of that, and she can say, I need you to film this, right? Like, I need you to be the face of this, but she's in charge of that. I don't have that on my brain. She's got that. So having dedicated people and then the two kind of works together. So we hired both of them and the amazing content drives the sales online, right? So it's really a whole kind of holistic approach to it. And then email marketing is huge for our online.
Mhm.
Anytime we need some online sales, emails go out and we get sales. So again, like a holistic approach to sales
Yeah.
for online.
Well, and I'm so glad that you found good people. I know that our retailers struggle with that. And you made an excellent point of knowing enough. So you have a good understanding of what they will be doing. You don't have to be a Shopify expert and understand like every single thing, but you have to know a little bit in order to hire this role and manage that person as well. Do you have any tips for finding a good person to help you with your e-com site?
Yeah. So one thing so we actually got recommended her from management one. So finding recommendations from people that you trust is really important.
Yeah.
And then what we do, and this isn't necessarily an example from when we hired her, but knowing enough. So when we do a working interview, because some people are really good at telling you they can do things and schmoozing their way through it, right? having them show you, "Oh, you said you
Mm,
could do that? Let's hop on the back of our site and I just wanna see you navigate. Show me where that is." If they're back there and they can't find it, they don't know, right? So really
right.
doing a working interview is important for us and knowing enough so that they can't hide that from you. If you get them to go in there and you don't know anything, you're like, "Great," right? You need to
Yeah.
know enough to be able to, and like you said, managing them. That is one of the hardest things as a business owner is you can try and control as much as you can, but you can't necessarily control people. So you need
Mhm.
to have a way to manage them, systems in place, balances and checks, scorecards, all of those kind of things to be able to manage them. If it's not your strong suit, then having a system in place that helps you do that. But yeah, for ecom, it was really a recommendation. So ask around to other local businesses. Maybe it's someone who built a site and that business didn't need them to run something, but maybe they've never been offered that opportunity to, hey, we want you to actually run our ecom site, right?
Mhm.
So doing that. And then one tip I have for people, because I know a lot of business owners struggle with it for content creation is, or social media help, is just searching TikTok and Instagram in your area and finding a content creator that you like. I try and usually find a micro one that would still be interested in a job, obviously, because sometimes when they grow too much, they are not necessarily interested in a job. And finding that is the best resume to me to see their
Mhm.
content that they're creating for themselves and to see if they have versatility, what the style is, all of that kind of stuff. That's how we found our amazing Sydney that we have. I just was searching through TikTok as like a resume. And then
Yeah.
you're not gonna win with everyone that they're gonna want to or that type of thing, but I found that has worked for us because 'cause we've struggled in the past. Hiring people is so hard. Kate, my lovely sister's in charge of that, and I am not jealous that it's so hard and it's ever
Yeah.
changing, and you just have to have a tough exterior for that because that's one of the hardest parts for sure.
It really is. I feel like you gave really great tips though on how to find these people and the systems and scorecards and things like that for everybody on the team is really going to help support. But I love it. If you look, I think that sometimes we feel like if I see a content creator, oh, they happen to be in my town. Oh, but they might not be interested. Or oh, they have 10,000 followers or 20,000. They don't need me or they don't want to work at my store. Like you don't know. You have no idea. That content creator could be like just that morning saying to her husband, I really wish I could pick up a cool client that I just like resonate with. I just want to market their products, like leverage their skills. And the worst that could happen is they say no. So reach out.
I've learned with sorry to interrupt. I've
No,
learned
you're
with,
fine.
content creation is it's really an evolving thing for people, so they might be doing it for themselves, but they're looking for an outlet that they don't wanna be documenting their everyday life because maybe they're tired of it or something,
Yeah.
right?
So
So there
true.
can be people that just wanna do different types of content and that are looking for, "Oh, I love that. Try-ons, I can get on camera and try
Mhm.
stuff on. I like that." So it's always opportunity for people, you never know. And what's the worst that can happen, right?
Exactly. You're so right. Actually, there's a huge thing in the content creator, like the creator industry of burnout. And part of that burnout happens from lack of knowing what to post, like creating and what should I do next and always trying to be different and stand out. But if you do have a client and you're creating content for Cloud Nine Pajamas, and here's our clear scope of like what we want to do, here's what we've been doing, it helps harness their energy where they have a clear focus of what they're going to be doing. And then they know how to use these tools. They know how to edit. They know what people respond to. And it almost is such a great partnership and fills them back up if they're in that place. So there's a lot of opportunity there for sure.
That's exactly and the lovely, girl that we hired also didn't have a marketing background, but and I don't either, so I don't have a post-secondary education. I learned it all. I've done courses. I've committed to educating myself, and so I think that through teaching her, she's learned these things, and she's interested in educating herself as well, but she's taken on more than just content, so it doesn't have to be you can get more and kind of design what position you want filled is really what
Mhm.
I'm saying. It doesn't you don't have to have just content creation and then just a social media. She's doing lots for us. It really just is having conversations. And I know it can be scary to not know what to put on the job title or not know what you're offering. And that's where I just had an initial call with her. And I said, I just want to chat with you, see what you're interested in. What skills do you have? Let's build this together. And it might be a few people you have to go through before that, but it was the best thing that's happened to us the way that we hired her.
Yeah, I love it. So good. Miranda, looking ahead, what emerging trends in digital marketing do you believe will be most impactful for independent retailers? And how do you plan to incorporate these trends in your strategies?
Yeah, I think that it's ever changing. So that's one thing with digital marketing is it is always changing. I've learned that you feel like you got something down and they change it. They change the way the algorithm works,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I think that again, having good content that and by good content, again, that personalized content is going to be so important. I think that it's going to be personally, I think it's a little rocky road ahead for some indie retailers. Things are tough, right? And so I think when you niche down and you're not selling the same thing as everyone else and you're showing it differently, maybe that could be the thing too. You could be carrying the same thing as 10 other boutiques in your town. And if you show it differently, if you show
Mhm.
it in a way that captures the attention, that can make all of the difference. So I really think that it's not an emerging trend. It's that consistent of just like I've had it throughout this whole thing is that personalized content. I think that's the way to go. And partnering with influencers is huge. It's been huge
Mhm.
for a long time, but it really is people's way of purchasing things. That's how I purchase things is I see a content creator and a influencer and they're selling me on something and I'm like, I like that. Let's buy it. So
Yeah,
it's using that as well. And I think that sometimes us indie retailers are slower to jump onto those types of things and you don't necessarily have the budget and that's so fair and you don't necessarily have the resources to be dedicating to doing it. And I think that we need to be getting on those things to keep up with the big box and other people.
for sure. I actually love that your answer was more foundational and strategic versus the bright, shiny thing. Cause I think we can get really caught up of like, what's coming? What do I need to know now? And we don't have the foundational stuff figured out yet. Like, we've got to be brilliant at the basics. So, I
And
agree.
the
Yeah.
basics bring the to me, the basics bring the money. It's
Yep.
I again, we get caught up and we see the shiny thing and we forget about those. And I think that and because the landscape of retail is evolving, I think staying consistent in those things, you set that foundation and then you can work on those other little things that come up. But if you don't have the capacity and you abandon that and work on the new thing, it just doesn't work.
It's so true. Miranda, are you ready for the resilience round?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Best
All right.
business book.
This is my favorite. I will scream this from the rooftops always too is Traction or Get a Grip by Gino Wickman. Changed our business.
Awesome. Love it. Best retail technology, like an app or software.
I have two. Canva, tried and true, best thing ever, has been forever and ever. And then something new to us, but has been great is Yotpo, which is a loyalty program.
Oh, okay. Awesome. That's a new one for me. We'll link to all this too. Can't wait to
Yeah.
check that out. Awesome. How do you keep up with the ever changing retail landscape?
Following podcasts. So Crystal's podcast, Rooted in Retail. And then I also love the Boutique Hubs podcast as well. Hers is
Boutique
Boutique
Chat,
Chat.
I think. Yeah. Awesome. Great suggestions. To help retailers be stronger, more rooted in success, what's a marketing foundational best practice?
Emails. Keep them going always.
Yep. If you had to start your business all over again, what's one thing you'd do differently?
I think work-life balance and mental health care from the beginning. You can only have a business that is thriving if you're also thriving.
So true. What do you think the future of independent retail looks like?
For those that are niching down and doing great content, I think it looks good. I think if you're doing personalized content, you're going to do great.
Yep, I so agree. Miranda, where can people learn more about you and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a website. You guys can find us on there, www.cloud9pajamas.com. We have Instagram as well, and that is Cloud9PJS. And then we're also on Facebook as well, Cloud Nine Pajamas.
Awesome. Miranda, I loved this conversation. So good to catch up with you. Thank you for sharing behind the scenes of what you're doing, especially from marketing perspective. I mean, there's a lot of gold that you gave our retailers today. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Everyone remember that I am rooting for your success. Have a great week ahead. Bye. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. Don't forget to join the Rise and Shine newsletter, which is social media news you need to know, sent via email every Monday morning. Go to crystalmediaco.com/rise to join. And don't miss the newest episode of Rooted in Retail, which drops every Sunday morning.